Hi, Katrina.
Hello.
You see, I still haven't found the one picture that I want to show. Gosh, those were the days, huh? When you could wear short sleeves. Hi, Melissa. Melissa's going to be on our show tonight.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, ladies.
We've missed you.
I missed you too. How's your new job going?
It's good. It's
Hi,
finally
Steve.
getting busy.
Yeah, you were complaining before that it wasn't busy because it wasn't cold enough.
Right. Today was a little slow, but yesterday, 70 people called.
You're going to have to get an assistant.
Between 8:30 and 2:30, 70 people called.
Wow, trial by fire. I bet you went home and lay down.
I did with my dog. It's like an afternoon routine we have.
Oh, what time do you get out of work?
2:30.
Oh, what time do you go in?
8:30.
Oh, that's a
I'm
nice
technically
work.
part-time.
You're so civilized. I always think the best kind of week would be a 4-day work week with a nice long lunch hour in the middle.
I agree. That would be nice.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hi, Steve.
Are we doing? You can hear me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Are we doing? There's no video on this. It's just audio.
Oh well, I didn't get my hair done, so I don't want anyone to see me.
Oh. Okay.
And I never turn my video on.
Okay. No
It's
problem.
Just,
no problem.
I'm embarrassed to say I used to be a big believer in it, but one member of our party always refused to, and I felt as though it put us at a disadvantage. So
Oh,
I
no,
thought we should
no,
level the playing field, so to speak.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. I need a haircut myself. So
I'm a hot mess, so nobody wants to see me right now.
And I've got cats walking around on the table and this and that. So, okay, that's fine. I know that actually, I think George Kane was gonna jump on.
Oh, that would be terrific. I've been thinking about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I work with him, so.
Oh, I didn't realize you were on the same team. I mean.
Well, we're in the same office. And both him and I like to use the office a lot. So, so sometimes it's lots of times it's just the two of us, and so he likes to get filled in on all the goings on.
Where is your office?
Great Barrington, right next to the well, Sotheby's.
Oh, that's right. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you should if you're ever in downtown Great Barrington. I mean, I usually try to go to the office every day, or at least during the week, because just to get out of the house.
Cabin fever, and it's not even winter yet.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah. I get more done if I'm in an office than at home.
Right.
Like
I definitely do too.
Yeah.
I have too many distractions, furry distractions at my house.
Yeah, well, same with me. Everybody's always begging for food and around here.
You're going to show up in one of those videos on Instagram pretty soon with your cats.
Oh yeah, cats. I mean, as soon as you don't want them to do something, they do something.
Always.
So, always. But I just fed them right before this meeting, so therefore. I think they're both sleeping, so that's good.
That's great.
But yeah, I apologize for not making the meetings more regularly. I'm gonna start making them regularly because we're getting more serious. So
well, we have a lot of work to do.
We do.
So we can't talk about any of it though for 2 more minutes until
I'm not talking about it. It's,
Mom's the word.
Exactly. But what else? Nothing much else.
Let's have a moment of silence.
If you'd like.
I don't know. It's all pretty crazy out there. I'm going to New York tomorrow for the first time, so
All right.
I'm a little nervous.
Wear a mask.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking I'm going to put a mask in every pocket.
Yeah. I mean, although I've got, a lot of my friends are in the city and everybody's basically okay. And my brother's in the city, so.
Well, they say that 90% of the people in New York are vaccinated because you can't really do anything or go anywhere if you don't have proof of vaccination. So
Right.
that kind of
But my brother
it evens up the odds, I guess you could say.
had a breakthrough infection. So, but of course he works in the school, so it probably has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
So just be careful.
Oh, yeah, I will. I have a very limited circle of acquaintance, so I'm just going to see my sister.
Okay.
And then I'm hardly going to be there long enough to sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh, look, it's 6:00. Okay, so we are recording. Hold on one second. I'm going to send an email, which we are now in session, so I can do that. To you, Katrina. Oh, and I might as well add you, Steve, since you're here, and then you'll know what we're talking about if we need to talk about it. Okay, hi, John.
Hello.
So
Hello.
then, this meeting of the Monterey Finance Committee is called to order on November 30th, 2021 at 6:00. I'm glad we have a nice diverse group tonight. The meeting's being recorded and the recording will be posted to the YouTube site as soon as it is available. And I believe it's also available on the cloud. In attendance, we have Katrina, would you mind doing the notes again?
I will.
I also am trying out this new thing called Otter, which transcribes the words, for a better word. And so we might actually have a transcript, but I don't want to take a chance on that. So KFJS, Steve Weiss, and Melissa are here. I'll just read my little usual opening statement, which is, in keeping with the open meeting law, no one may speak until recognized by the chair. Please state your name. Discussion will be limited to agenda items. And in consideration of all participants, please keep remarks brief and on topic. The chair will move to adjourn the meeting if necessary. And I'll just read our agenda in case, John, I don't know if you heard me say that I was sending an email to all of you just of related materials. So it's available to you. Our agenda tonight is to consider a reserved, although it may not be called a reserved fund transfer, stay tuned for more details, for the repairs at Valley Galley. And Melissa is here to speak to this with greater detail. We have been asked to consider the COLA increase that has just recently been publicized in anticipation of its impact on our budget process. So we'll be talking about that. Let's see, we'd like to approve the minutes from 7:22, 8:17, and 11:9. And lastly, we will review the open meeting law complaint of Silbert 1112 and vote to designate a respondent. So starting at the top, Melissa, would you like to talk about the funds needed for repairs at Valley Galley?
Yes, so with a revolving fund, the select board and the finance committees can both vote to increase the spending limit for the current year to allow for what's happened here, which is that they needed to have 2 faucets replaced in there. Obviously, we've had them done. I haven't gotten the bill yet. But Steve, do you remember what the amount was that you guys approved? Was it 2,500 or 2,000?
So we were looking to raise the cap from 1,500 to 2,500.
Right.
Because to pay for these repairs instead of going through a reserve fund, the revolving fund was put in place was put in place to take the funds that were received in rent from Valley Galley and apply them towards repairs and the operations of Valley Galley.
So the select board at their last meeting voted to raise the annual expenditures just for this year to 2,500 so that I can pay that bill once it comes in. I'm just asking the finance committee to do the same, please.
I just have one question because, so a revolving fund is funded by the rent, but then are you saying that we need to, where does the extra $1,000 actually come from?
So it'll still come from the rent, but with the revolving funds, each year we have, the town approves a spending limit, a cap. So
Oh, I
out of, currently they're only allowed to spend $1,500 and these were 2 unexpected repairs.
Okay, I got it. I would like to make a motion that we join the select board in raising the spending limit to $2,500 for this year.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Is that,
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Were we asked to, does the finance committee need to vote to raise the limit?
Yes, both the finance committee and the select board have to vote, and the select board has already done that.
Okay, great. So I don't have any bills here. How much is the bills? And there's still 1,200 or 1,100 and change in the revolving account.
So there is not. They spend $77 a month on pest control there, and then there's another $400 that is the water bill. So at the end of the year, it's only going to leave, I believe, like $100 and something. So I'm asking you to increase the spending limit so that when this bill does come in, which I haven't received yet, but the repairs have been made, I'm estimating that it's going to be $600 to $800 for the time that the plumber was there to fix it and the fixtures.
Yeah, but right now there's $1,200 in there.
Right, but there's not going to be at the end of the year. That's why we're asking to have the spending limit increase so that we don't go over.
If I may interject, I think we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, and we're discussing it.
Then I would like to move that we vote on it. Are you saying that because they have the money now, we shouldn't approve what we know we're going to need to approve later?
So can I jump in here?
Correct. This has been tried before in other circumstances, asking for transfers before budgets have been expended down, for example, and asking for reserve requests before budgets have been spent down. And it's very important that we spend down the budgets first. Now, in this case, we're just asking to increase the limit in anticipation of it eventually going over 2,500, but really we should wait until we've actually gone over the remaining balance and then make this request, because otherwise we haven't seen the bills and we don't know what we're approving. So it isn't a matter of whether or not we should do it. It's a matter of the sequence. And I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
So I can tell you that there's going to be another bill coming up because they're having a pest problem there, and there's been a quote to have some outside work done to keep the pests out. So again, this is a proactive measure rather than a reactive measure, just to increase the spending limit from 1,500, not 2,500. So you're increasing it from 1,500 to 2,500 to allow these repairs to be made.
Right, and I understand that, and we can go ahead and vote on this because I don't have any objections to increasing the spending limit. But in terms of the expenditures themselves, let's discuss that after we do this vote.
Okay. Yeah. All expenditures are going to be accounted for, John.
No, I understand that. Believe
so,
me,
okay.
that's not my concern. Of
Okay.
course, they're going to be accounted for.
All right.
So go ahead. I will vote to approve.
Let's see. The agenda item is that we are considering raising the spending limit for the repairs that have already been made to Valley Galley. And that should be the end of the discussion if we have a vote on this. If we have a larger discussion to have, I think that would be for another time. So
Okay,
I
these
move-
repairs
I
have
move that
not
we-
been made.
Yes, they
I'm
have.
sorry, the bills have not been paid yet.
The
gonna
repairs have been
correct you
made,
on
but we have not received the bill yet.
Thank you.
But the
Right.
bill, you're just increasing the spending limit, so that allows us to spend, to pay for the bills. There's no transfers necessary. There's no anything else. Once you increase the spending limit, I can pay these bills.
Right, I've already said I vote to approve.
Okay, great. So we have a, may I call it a unanimous vote to approve this expenditure, this raising the limit?
Yes.
Okay, great. Unanimous. You're gonna have to check my spelling, Katrina. Okay, well, this is the biggie, to consider the COLA increase. Oh, by the way, Melissa, thank you for explaining that so thoroughly and carefully.
No problem. And this
for
is really just what your
taking-
recommendation is for
for-
COLA. A lot of the people
Oh,
that
no,
are,
I'm just doing a backtrack here. I'm saying, thank you for doing the presentation on the Valley Galley situation in such a clear way.
you're most welcome.
But go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah,
John,
no,
is
you're
your hand raised? Or are you putting your hand down? Whoops,
I'm putting my hand down.
okay.
Mhm. So the
Let's-
COLA, I just had a few departments ask what they should use for the COLA for their budgets because the meetings are going to be starting. So I sent you the information of Social Security just so you could use that in your discussion.
Mhm. Well, I looked at the chart from 1975 on. And it was kind of interesting. You know, some years there's no upward movement at all, and then you have a little spurt like this. It's certainly so I think, I mean, my approach to it would be to go through our budget process with parallel tracks and see, you know, like prepare it as though we were just doing our normal two. And also do the exercise of seeing what the impact would be if we raised it to a different COLA, but probably not to 5.9%. John, what do you have to say about that?
I agree with that, and I'll tell you why. And I've spoken about this for several years now. I think that it's not the department. The department heads should not be submitting budgets that include prospective COLA increases or any raises at all, because that's not a decision that department heads make. So while they should definitely submit a budget for their needs, in terms of what the salaries of all employees are going to be, that's a determination that we do not make at the beginning of the budget process. And it requires, you know, it's going to require a lot of time between both the select board and the finance committee to make those determinations. And of course, because we don't do performance reviews, we really have a tough time setting salaries as it is. So I think Michelle's right. I think we should view the budget early on without anticipating the raises, but we can easily compute what, and I think Melissa did this last year, what a 1, 2, 3, 5% raise how it would affect the entire budget, because you just do that computation on every salary. And that way, as Michelle says, you can look at the two separately and make a decision later. I really would discourage the administrative wing here from asking department heads to
I
add.
want to just interrupt you 1 second, John,
Sure.
because I see that Steve is patiently waiting
Yeah.
to speak. But I think this is exactly the kind of conversation that's very preliminary and will give us a sense of how to proceed. So here you go, Steve.
Right. So actually, I agree with what John has been saying. We generally do not discuss the salaries at the beginning of the budgeting process. I would ask the department heads to focus on the needs for their department specifically, and then as we get into it, we can, we certainly will have the discussion on the cost of living. I am fully aware of the fact that in this particular case, the cost of living has definitely gone up, and we don't want to, pretend that it hasn't. However, right now, I think just for simplicity's sake, and when we get into the budgeting process, we should talk about what the departments need for themselves, and then we would have the discussion of the salaries at the end. Bless you.
I'm not sure I am asking the right question, but for example, the library has a parameters of how much goes to supplies and whatever. I'm not really sure of the budget, but someone mentioned to me that in a department where salaries are the major part of the expenditure, for example, or we can't just not be thinking about the salaries. But
we're thinking about
because
it
we know they're gonna be in the budget.
Oh no,
So,
we're thinking, Michelle, we're thinking about it. I believe we're always thinking about it. But if you start having a salary discussion with one department, other ones are going to, Monterey small. Other departments are going to say, well, wait a minute, why aren't you talking to me about salary? And so the proper way of doing it, or the path of least resistance, or the most efficient way of doing it, is to talk about their departmental needs first, without discussion of salaries, even if some departments do have the majority of, and this is, just the way, this is the way we've worked it before, and it seems to work. But that would be my recommendation, is to, even into the library, we'll talk about their operational needs. And then the discussion of salaries, because as John mentioned, that we don't, right now, we don't do individual reviews for employees. We generally do an across the board COLA. And so it only makes sense to do that at the same time with all the departments, and that usually comes at the end because it's easier.
Okay, and John, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I can clarify the library thing. A certain percentage, I think it's 20%, but I might be wrong, of the entire library budget needs to go to certain things like acquisition. So if they increase their entire budget, then they do need to go back and adjust other parts of the budget, because they need to be raised to meet the percentage thresholds.
I see.
But that, again, Mark dealt fine with that last year and the year before, and we all agreed not to do this. So it isn't that we're not going to discuss salaries, but I think that department heads should be, as Steve says, asking for what they need, and they could put in everyone could put in a 2% to begin with, or they could just leave last year's salaries until we have that discussion. Either way would be fine.
So just to clarify, Mark was one of the people that was specifically asking, because I guess he didn't like the way it happened last year, and he would like to know what the finance committee and the select board are asking departments to put in as placeholders for raises. So that was the only reason why I'm asking.
Right, I understand that, and we had those discussions between the finance committee and the library, and I think they're automatically going to increase their budget by a small percentage depending on the salary. So it's not something we need to worry about now. It's not a budget buster. And last year, we gave him 2%. He put in 2%, which then bumped up the percentage requirements for acquisitions. And then it got adjusted when we made adjustments to the final salary increases. So we're still jumping the gun, in my opinion.
Okay, so nobody was looking for a final figure. I think we're just looking for guidance as to what to put in there. Should I tell everybody to level fund salaries, put 2%?
I think the problem is that we cutting off our own noses if we put a number in now, because that's going to become a negotiating point later.
Well,
we-
I don't think it's going to come. I mean, I think it's really, I don't think we want to anticipate too much. I think Mark should, my feeling is Mark should just go ahead and prepare his budget the way he prepared it last year. And what that, and everybody should base what they're bringing to the meetings that we're going to be having that way. And I don't want to anticipate that there's a lot. I think our budget process can be very straightforward and very smooth. And in the end, we all are going to agree. So let's just take it one step at a time. And, we know that we have to be thinking about in our own minds, maybe, and in some discussions and meetings, but I think doing the numbers in advance of the meetings, just so that we're informed about the potential ramifications of doing one thing or another. Does that make sense? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let's go, Steve.
No, so and obviously I'm not speaking for the board. I'm only speaking for myself. And I'm not, however, for the select board, that is. However, it's my understanding that in the last six years, the COLA has been a minimum of 2%. It's probably only been 2%. Melissa, is that, do you think that's a reasonable?
From the town, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, last year we gave 3, I think
We gave
5 years before that was 2, and then there was like 1 year that it was level funded.
Wait, there was 1 year that we gave no cost of living increase?
That's correct.
Really?
Yes.
Was I on the board then?
Steve, there were 3 years when the Social Security Administration gave no increases because there was no inflation. We
Right.
were just following the COLA as always.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing about following the COLA is, wouldn't you rather just know in advance, it's 2% every year, or it's 3% every year? It's kind of an insurance policy. I mean, obviously 5.9 is, I'm delighted to get that increase in my Social Security check, but
Yeah.
it's not, I just think, I think certainty is better than, you can budget yourself a little better if well, I know what I'm going to get this year, and it's probably 2%. But when I have 0 COLA, I'm still going to get 2%. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's like a stabilization fund. It's one way of doing this. I think what we needed to decide tonight is whether or not we're going. I think I'm just going to repeat myself. We should not have department heads putting in COLA increases at this point in the budget.
So we
process.
should just have a meeting with them, and they bring what they had last year,
Right.
and
And
work
because
from there.
because the department heads are not deciding on the salary increases.
Well,
The
that's
finance committee and
we
the
don't
select
have-
board are.
We obviously, they know that, and we know that, but we don't have to litigate it because.
No. I
it's
just don't want
just-
them putting anything in now.
No, I think we all agree
Okay.
that it's going to be a bare, the basics, the familiar basics that we are going to discuss at the outset.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm happy to continue this discussion, but I think we pretty much understand how we all are coming to it. And starting Thursday, there'll be meetings, these preliminary meetings, and we'll just go from there. So unless there's an objection, I think I'll just go on to the next item on our agenda, which at the time I wrote it was to consider the purchase of a new copier, but I understand that has been resolved in a different way, which we don't even need to know about as long as the copies keep getting made, right, Melissa?
That's correct. You will see it in the fiscal year 23 budget, though.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be fun. Next, we've got some minutes to approve, and I believe that John and Katrina have received the minutes that we were going to look at.
I haven't received any unless they were done a couple of weeks ago. Can you give me the dates of the minutes?
The minutes that we're going to talk about tonight were 7/22, which it was 7:22.
I wasn't at that meeting, so
right.
I can't be a part of that one.
Well, okay, 7:22, 8:17, and 11:09. The
Okay.
only reason that it's still on is because the meeting that we had when we were going to approve them, hi Melissa, you and I were the only ones there. So that's why it's still up for grabs.
Okay.
And then 8:17. Oh, that was the meeting where you entered and wanted to enter a letter into the meeting.
Right.
And it was relating to the open meeting law complaints and responses. So do you have the 8:17 minutes, or do I need to send them to you?
I think you sent the draft minutes out a while back.
Yes, I did.
I'll just, if you guys want to do the other two, because I was absent for both of those, I will look at the 8:17 real quick right now.
Okay.
Because the other
Okay,
the other
so-
two, I was not at the 11:09 or the 7:22.
Correct. Okay, so the 7:22, I'm just going to read it to you, Katrina, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And then, okay, meeting convened at 4 p.m. in Zoom and in person and on Zoom recorded. You and I were present with Melissa. John was absent. The agenda was to transfer monies to cover the underpayment of insurance for $2,753. The motion was made, seconded, voted, and passed. The motion to adjourn was made, seconded, and passed, and the meeting adjourned in about 5 minutes. So I move that we accept these minutes.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Yes.
Aye.
So 7:22, and then 8:17. Do you have that one handy, or do you want me to read that one as well?
I do not have that handy. I was trying to pull it up, but if you want to read it, that works too.
Oh, it's so
That's the
boring
one
to
where we
read.
were all at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can read it.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on a second.
I don't get a sore throat here.
8:17 in person on Zoom. Recording began at 5:59. Meeting began at 6. Present Michelle Miller, Chair. Katrina Fitzpatrick, Clerk.
Well, that's what she was taking minutes.
Oh, okay. Hillel Maximum, Public, 6:03. Silbert arrives. No minutes were available for approval. Protocol for meetings from OML were read into the minutes, stating that no one may address a public meeting unless recognized by the chair. Review of outstanding OML complaints, Silbert 6:4, Silbert 7:6, and Wolin 8:4. Protocol restated 6:03. Silbert arrives. Discussion of procedure for OML response, which is typically designating respondent by vote. KF made motion to designate Miller to respond. MM second, voted 2 in favor. Silbert abstained. Miller then read a summary of the response into the minutes. See attached, to be submitted on 8/20. Request again minutes from 10/22/20 and 3/24/21. The chair recognized Silbert, who submitted a letter restating his opinions re OML complaints and responses to be added to the next meeting agenda. The letter is incomplete at this time. Motion to adjourn, seconded and adjourned at 6:30.
Any edits?
Yeah, I don't understand. The letter is incomplete at this time. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that was when I was trying to get all, part of the letter is the letter to the select board, and part of the letter to the select board it was links to PDFs that you sent to the nonprofits.
That wasn't the letter I submitted for the meeting.
Well, it referred to the
No,
letter
no.
to the select board.
No, it wasn't. I sent you the letter that I said it's a completely different letter. It had nothing to do with that,
Nothing to do with what?
with what you're saying. The
No,
letter was
but
completely different.
The letter that I got.
Do you have the letter?
I don't know, John. I don't have it right here in
Okay,
front of me.
I think you misunderstood me when I said I wanted to give a letter in, because the letter I gave had nothing to do with this.
Had nothing to, wait, the letter that you delivered had attachments to it that were a letter to the select board. So they were included in the letter.
No. First of all,
Therefore-
you didn't allow me to submit it. You said that you would not allow me to do it because it wasn't on the agenda. So it can't be in the minutes. It wasn't on the agenda, and you refused
Okay,
to
so
allow the
in other
submission.
words, I recognized Silbert, and that was that.
Correct. And you still haven't put it on the agenda because the letter is not the letter you think it is.
Well, John,
So let's just put
I
it on the
will
agenda.
find the letter, but at this time I could. Oops, where's my? Oh. Nope. Oh, yes. The chair of a public body, and this is from Carrie Benedon today, has discretion over what topics to include on the meeting notice, keeping in mind that the meeting notice must include all topics that the chair reasonably anticipates will be discussed at the meeting. The open meeting law does not obligate the chair to include requested topics, whether requested by members of the public or even fellow public body members. However, if topics were brought to the chair's attention and not included on the meeting notice, then these topics must not be discussed during the meeting. So that's kind of my guidance. I feel as though I handled the situation as well as I knew how.
I'm not objecting to the fact that you didn't
So
want to discuss
all I
it.
was thinking was that I would write the minutes, and if we take this sentence out, we're all set, and we could agree to accept these minutes.
Right. So just,
Okay.
if you don't mind, just tell me what you're taking out so we know what we're doing.
Okay, I've crossed out, I put the chair recognized Silbert, period. And then I crossed out everything else except for motion to adjourn, seconded and adjourned at 6:30 p.m.
But you recognize me, and
Mhm.
then you wouldn't discuss the letter I sent. So that
Because it
needs to
wasn't
be,
on the agenda.
no, but you said it at the meeting, so it needs to be in the minutes. Not the letter,
Oh,
what you
John, would
said.
you like to write that sentence? Because you really confused me. Why don't you just send me the edit that you'd like to put in there?
Well, because we really have to approve them now in public meeting.
Okay, so then why don't you send us the wording? We can look at it and then we can vote on it and cut and paste.
All right, let me go back because I have to go find it again. All right, here's the final paragraph. The chair recognized Silbert, who submitted a letter restating his opinions. Read the OML complaints and responses to be added to the next meeting agenda. So I think you should just, because you're referencing the wrong letter. So the chair recognized Silbert, who submitted a letter, period.
Okay, sounds good.
And then Miller's response was, it's not on the agenda. We can add it to the next meeting.
No, I didn't say we could add it to the next meeting, did I?
You did. I have the recording, and I've already
I
sent you the
lied.
transcript of the recording.
Well, we are going to have more meetings, so if you really still want to talk about it.
I don't understand what that's not really the issue. The issue is these meeting minutes have to be accurate. You said you'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and I have the transcript, and I sent you the transcript.
Well, it'll take me a while to find it, I guess. But so can I move that we move on to the next set of minutes, since you're not going to vote on this right now?
I'm perfectly happy to vote on it if it's
Okay,
accurate.
so what is the wording that I'm using there?
Okay, so the chair recognized Silbert, who submitted a letter, period.
Period.
The chair said it was not on the agenda, and it could be and it would be added to the next motion, to next meeting, period. That's it.
Well, I'm pretty sure you said that, but
No, you said that, and I asked to put it on the next one.
I won't argue any further, John. I mean, it'll probably mean I'll spend the rest of my life in jail, but okay.
I'll send you the transcript.
I would say, who submitted a letter? Chair deferred discussion to future meeting. How's that?
Sure.
Okay, we're agreed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, I think the next one is gonna be very simple. If I can find it. All right, here we go. I did just send you that, right, with the Monterey Finance Committee 10-11-9. Oh, but John, you're not even here for this one. Right, so Katrina, it'll just be you and me
Okay.
voting on this. Okay, meetings being recorded will be posted on the Town of Monterey YouTube as soon as it's possible. In keeping with open meeting law, no one may speak except as recognized by the chair, blah, 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 the usual caveats. Attendees, Miller, Fitzpatrick, and Justin, absent, Silbert. Read open meeting law complaint of Silbert dated 10/29/21, see attached. Move to designate the accused to provide separate answers, that's you and me. Miller reads response, see attached. Fitzpatrick read, actually, you did not read a response because you had not composed it yet.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll respond. And I don't know if your response needs to be attached to the minutes, since we didn't see it, it wasn't there, so no see attached. To be submitted by November 18th. We voted on the meeting minutes for 10/12 and 10/26. We reviewed the ledger, at which point we stated that we were looking forward to working with John on that, because that is your bailiwick. Two things I mentioned were there may be an increase in highway department salary because just a bump because Sean's owed 2 vacation weeks. And we speculated that the new legal counsel might end up costing more than we are used to budgeting for. We talked about scheduling the budget meetings and setting the next meeting for 11:30. At that point, we made a motion to adjourn. It was seconded and we adjourned at 6:21. I move that we accept those minutes.
I second.
It's unanimous. Guess what? I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll
and,
second.
I can say right now, before I second on that, that just looking at the calendar, and that we might meet on the 21st of December. Do I hear a yes?
Okay.
All right. I'll set it up. And I second the motion to adjourn, and we're adjourned. Oh, we voted to adjourn.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.